Good morning. Well, I'm saying good morning. Hi, welcome to my cake kitchen. I am Gladys, and over here I make simple, informative tutorials to help you navigate cake decorating easily. And today we're continuing a series we started yesterday, where we're making a teacup shaped cake. These tutorials of making near realistic items from cake form is inspired by a need to kind of bring you the entire unedited process of carved cakes, except for this carved cake we're making it from scrap cake. So I employ techniques to ensure that our outcomes are achievable for even beginners to attempt and also achieve great results. The first part of that video is already up, where yesterday we took a cake that looked like a horrid monstrosity, shapeless, and didn't look anything like what we were going to be doing, and eventually carved it meticulously with so many tips for you to learn from. Covered the cake in a layer of ganache, literally cram coating it, and today we're back to fondant cover the cake and see if we can attempt some of the details. I only have perhaps an hour and a little bit more, just not enough time to stretch the tutorials up, but believe me when I say, even whatever we do today, it will still carry on tomorrow. So if it's the first time you see me, hello there, welcome, and I trust this video will be of some use to you. I don't just make live videos, there are long form content where I cover different subjects, from baking to full-on decoration to reaction video, and even vlog style videos, which brings you behind the scenes of my simple life as a cake maker. You will see some of the cake decorating challenges I face on a daily basis, including my own challenges that I face dealing with life as a small business owner. So there are a ton of tutorials here to help you, so check those out. And also, if your attention is just as little as a goldfish, I'm not blaming you. You can check the shorts, where there are useful shorts videos that are also cake centered to help you. So whilst we're back, hello there, good morning everybody. There is Tapita in the chat, Dolly is back. All of you, great to have you back. Thank you for your support and love always. I'm not going to waste your time today. If you've seen my post, I have a poorly baby. My son isn't well, so he's home with me today. He's literally in the lounge whilst I undertake this video. So chances are I'll be multitasking today. My attention is slightly split, so I have to manage my time diligently whilst also making sure I serve you. So hopefully we can achieve great results with that. And with that said, I'm not going to waste your time. There is it Shamook? Thank you. That's lovely. Tapita, how is mom? I don't think I've asked after her recently. I know mom is fine. Tapita is our moderator today. Our moderators here, welcome. Dolly, hello darling. Is it your break time? Great to have you back. Now let's go and have a look at what we did yesterday. And believe me when I say, when we started yesterday, we didn't have this, okay? So if you want to see the monstrosity that we started with, you can check that out. I think I'm looking on my screen, and I don't think the shot is very straight. Bear with me. Let me just try and adjust the camera a little bit. I don't know if I would achieve great results with that, but I'm going to try. Okay, bear with me. Well, hopefully that is all straightened out. But if it isn't, I hope it's still not hurting your eye, and that you're still getting, can you see me over there? I hope you're still getting some value out of this. So yesterday, this is what we ended up with. So we talked about what cup we're looking at. So I'm sure we've all seen what a cup looks like. Now, at this point, if you're a beginner, you might want to cover this with a layer of ganache or buttercream. For carved cakes, I think my biggest recommendation for you will be to go for ganache, because ganache is a little more solid, it sets well, and even at room temperature, it is likely to help support the form or the shape of your carved item. I almost always say with carved items, because you need them to keep their form, it is always advisable to make sure that any additions are just kept to their very minimal. So I'm not going to slap lots of layers of ganache over this. Of course, if this was a customer cake, that would be different, because there's an aim to also, there's also the intention or the expectation that the cake will be cut into as soon as it's picked up. And the layers of ganache that is added will add to the taste of the cake. So yes, that would be completely different. But the tip here is that, as you can see, much of the cake is exposed, and that is just intentional, because I just want the cake to keep its form. And if I had extra ganache, yes, I'll be covering it, but I don't, and it kind of works right. So today we're just going to move on quickly and cover this in a layer of fondant. I mean, fondant is a divisive subject on the internet. There are people who actually loathe the idea of fondant. As a cake maker, I have repeatedly said time and again, I do not fight fondant. I have to pick my battles. I dislike it for the extra work and task it adds to what I need to achieve, but I like it also for its additional medium that I can add extended decorations and extensive work to the cake decorating process, thereby making my life easier. So it is neither here nor there for me. I have to learn to pick my battles. Now, for this cake, even if you're a beginner, fondant work is so easy because it's only a shaped item and you're not going to be covering clean lines. So this is just my regular Tesco brand of fondant, and all I'm doing is trying to knead this. Watch me kind of knead this together without having to kind of like stretch things out, because the store-bought fondant is pliable anyway, and it is easy to manipulate when you're working with that. So this is about 1 kilo of fondant I have over here, and I think I've gone for about 800 grams. And because we're making a cup, what I want to do is make sure that there's a thick layer of fondant to kind of seal out the cup a little bit for me, and that is what I am doing. It's Lollipop back here. Lollipop, good afternoon, darling. How are you? I have a very poorly baby, and oh, might I add that I don't feel great myself. I think I'm coming down with a cold or something. So if I sound a little bit less energetic, it's because I don't have energy at all. I've lost my appetite, but you know what? I've got to show up at work, so I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that for those of you who are probably used to me being so energetic and fun over here, today it doesn't feel like that at all, because I've had a sleepless, poorly baby, and I don't feel great myself. But yes, Lollipop, I suspect we're all having a good day. Great to have you back. How are you? Right, so what I've just done is polish that off with some corn flour, and I have my fondant roller, and all I'm going to do is try and roll this a little out enough so that it can cover the cup over there. That's all I'm doing. But if you're just joining us for the first time, a polite reminder that your engagement is really important to us. So do consider liking the video, okay? And that is just communicating to YouTube that you've been here and you like us. I'm just keeping the fondant just white so that we can add details. I'm kind of thinking probably the detail I want to add will be in edible printed form. I am not so sure. I'm just trying to achieve that. Oh, my darling, tapeta and the chicken soup. I would love to have chicken soup, you know, but Not at the moment. I can't. I haven't been able to cook chicken soup, and please don't recommend that thing in a tin. It's no soup, okay? It's nonsense. I want home cooked chicken soup made from chicken broth. Okay, right, there we have it. I'm gonna get myself a fondant smoother, and this is what I have. I mean, if you look at the thickness, it's not super thick, but it's not thin either. And this is just about what I need so that I can cover. What am I looking for? Right, I brought it back. I haven't kind of organized as I should. I just need some paper over here. That is simply because the paper will help me. There you have it. Normally at this point you want to apply. I think I would have to do that though. You want to, trying to see. I have a brush, so I'll apply some liquid on there. I'll apply some glue on there. Bear with me. Right. I was thinking about doing something slightly different, but if you've been here, you would notice that normally I recommend actually using Crisco or Trex for the glue, or even edible glue. But today I don't have that, so, or a piping gel also works, because water just gets sticky. But because I'm using a brush, I am hoping that it will be all right. It will help get the fondant to adhere properly on the cup when I cover it. Okay, just roll that, pick that up. Okay, there you have it. Okay, because it's a cup and it doesn't require a lot, it is easier to kind of move the fondant around. And it's not about pulling. Try not to pull the fondant. If you pull it, it will have elephant skin around. So all I'm doing is opening the skirt up and then pushing it back in to the side. Fondant covering can be slightly challenging, especially if you're a beginner, but it's something that you can improve with over time. So I remember the first time I covered a cake with fondant, God, it almost felt like it was a 12-hour task of stripping and doing it all over again. But eventually we got there, and even now I still have challenges with fondant. So a little tip, encouragement here to say, if you're struggling with your fondant, it's okay, it's part of the process. But if you're a beginner, perhaps good quality fondant to start with will stop some of the problems that are inherent with fondant. So this just looks like a white teacup. Okay, so yeah, we've covered that. Thankfully, we've done it, right? Just, and the rest is all about polishing. So I'm gonna get myself a and we're getting rid. See what I said about water? Water just gets sticky everywhere. One of the tips to polishing or getting great results with polishing fondant is actually using fondant itself to help you polish. Be careful not to use sticky fondant though. So I've got myself some fondant here. I'm going to wrap that in cling film. We're wrapping that all around in cling film. And with that, I'm gonna just, yeah. So there you go. Now the weight, because this is an oddly shaped item, I'm not aiming for fine lines, so I am not using a fondant smoother here. I am aiming to use this to push out air bubbles whilst also gaining some fine look to the cup. So the polishing of a cake can be done as long as you feel you haven't achieved the results you need here. But of course, the trick to knowing when to stop is as important as doing what will give you great results. So be very careful. But you don't also need a big fondant like this, but the fondant I have here I am going to be reusing, so it's neither here nor there. But as you can see, just with a slab of fondant, look at how different this looks now. Okay, so I am going to get myself a turntable. When you're working with fondant, also make sure, or try your best to make sure that your surface is your work surface is tidy and also doesn't have any contact with liquid, because when you have water or anything that comes into contact with your fondant, it can be slightly problematic. So you want to be very careful of that. I've just flipped my turntable upside down. If you know how to use a turntable, I'm using it the opposite way, but that's because I need this to work out. You need something sharp to cut the excess fondant because you want the cut to be clean. I kind of should have listened to myself, right? Because I've ended up using water on the cup and it's left some sticky marks for me, and I really don't like that for me. Okay. You also want to be very careful when you're cutting into the fondant, because you don't also want to leave an exposed cake. Look, I have ended up exposing parts of the cake. But I'm gonna get myself a brush here and clean the bits out. Then go in with my fondant smoother. I have cut too much into the cake, and now I have cake exposed. This just requires a little more attention and to detail and patience, right? So okay, there we have it, and a bit more polishing. So I'm just polishing this a bit more. I'm just trying to see what I did here. Yeah, so it doesn't stick. Oh. Okay, and I'm gonna flip that over again. And we'll see what we've got. Okay. Do we have a cup? It looks like it, but I'm going to have to press this over so that this goes all the way up and we don't have this. I think this is the first time that I am not trying to turn a cake mistake into something else, is it? Okay, so we have this, and then, oh gosh, I have, okay. Let's make sure we don't have bits in the cake, right? The top that is exposed will be covered, so never you worry. Just trying to get bits out of this, yeah. And if you've been on the channel long enough, you will know I love tea. And I love tea in a big mug. So this is so right up my street. We are polishing. So we've gone from the unpolished scrap cake that has suddenly added up to looking so formed, like a cup over here. Okay, so I am just trying to keep the form together. I know I'm kind of lost in my little world a little bit here, but please bear with me. So I've got myself a fondant smoother. Who actually thinks so far, since what we did from yesterday, who actually thinks they can be able to make themselves a teacup cake? It's not, this is not the only thing I've been doing today, you know. I'll show you what I've actually been working on today. Okay. I think if I obsess about just getting a perfect shape to this cup, we will not leave. So far, I think I have gotten what I need. That looks like a cup, but we are not done yet. The exposure needs to be covered, and we need to get a lip to the cup, right? Because cups have a lip, so we're going to work at that. But right now, we have our cup that looks like it's shaped. What do you think so far? Let me know your thoughts. What am I missing in the chat? Oh, okay. Well, those of you in the chat, you're having a bit of fun, isn't it? Lollipop. Yeah, Lollipop, I know you love your tea. Those of you who drink Earl Grey tea. No, I'm kidding. Okay, we all love tea. But that does not mean you should go and make yourself a teacup. Does it? Right. This is what I am going to do. Right. Look, I have ended up cluttering my work surface with things that should not even be here. Right? So, okay, I'm moving that out of the way a little bit, and we are getting some of the fondant pieces back. If you're in the chat and you're wondering what we're doing, we're making a fondant teacup cake, okay? That is what we're doing. I kind of feel like I should have raised the lip a little bit. we are going to create the cover for the top of the lip. And again, I have some fondant, roll together, knead it together, and roll it out. Except this time I need to roll it out a little thicker. Just a little thicker. And I'm going to get myself a 5-inch a 5-inch ganache plate. I'm going to cut this like perfectly round. Okay. Yeah, we've got a perfectly round top here, and put that on here, and what I am going to aim to do is seal this by creating a lip, so that we have a lip of the cup. I have been a bit reluctant to add water to help seal it, which will probably have helped, because I do not want the stickiness. And I can see the color is coming through. We have this bit here that I am not sure about. So what I am doing is I am creating a wavy lip to the cup. Right. Now you can also, alternatively, if you don't want to do this, what you can do is make sure that you leave excess lip. Anyway, I'm trying to work this out a little bit just to see if it will give me some best result, but I am ultimately considering almost redoing this part because I don't like the look of this. It looks more like a pot to me than it is a cup. Maybe because we don't have the handle and decorations, but sometimes you can't see what you're doing, and I like to see what I'm doing. Okay, let's see. That's the beauty of cake decorating. If you're in the process and you kind of feel like, I don't think I got this right, you can almost always go back and change things around. So I don't like this part, so I'm going to have to rip this off. See? Welcome to cake decorating, where things don't always work out. Okay, right. So I'm trying to see. I have a few options. So here's a challenge here. The top of the lip of a cup, it's almost, the rim is almost fine and round. If you look at that, and the teacup we're using, it's fine, and we don't have that here, right? So what I could have done is flipped this over on a height. like so, so that the excess that will hang around will give me the lip, and then it will polish itself off. By so doing, we can seal the inside, and then the lip of the cup will be very seamless. And I didn't do that. So now I have the trouble of trying to get the lip looking fine, and the lip is also flush with the size. So I have two options. I can strip this fondant off and recover this with the lift in the hope of getting a better outcome, or I can just apply another layer of fondant over here. Now, if this was a customer cake, I would have to strip it off, because what you don't want is add a thicker layer of fondant. It's heavy and it's chewy and it's extra sugar. You don't want that. But of course, this is our cake. We do what we want. Plus, I'm also worried that because I used water and the ganache is colorful, even if I strip it, there will be bleeding of the color, the ganache color sticking onto the fondant. It will discolor the fondant for me. So there's no point stripping it up. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to keep the lift, and what I'm going to do is cover it with another thin layer of fondant. And by so doing, I will also be able to get rid of the color of the cup that is really showing through the cake. And that's what we're going to do. The beauty of cake decorating is that you are always going to face challenges, especially for things you haven't done before. And a teacup cake, I have created a teacup as a cake topper on cakes, which are what you will call a teacup themed cake, where the teacup is only a small portion of the entire cake. A shaped cake like this as a teacup is something I've not done before. That doesn't mean I can't do it, but part of the decorating process, as you see it, is to give you the raw experience of actually cake decorating, which isn't always perfect. You learn and then you figure things out as you go on. Now, can I do it? Yes. But I like to also show you some of the pitfalls to look out for. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover this in a layer of thin fondant, just so that I can get the lip to the cup, which should be all right for me. I'm going to move that out of the way. I've just turned my turntable upside down. Now we're losing the cake altogether. Did you just see that? I literally just saved the cake. It's happened a few times over here, so it's like this is becoming okay. Yeah. There's also the additional challenge of wondering whether I will have enough fondant to do all of that. Gosh, this is really like a tough one, but yeah, we'll get there. Let's see. How are my people in the chat? There's 18 of you in the chat. Can I politely remind you, if you're here, can you leave where you were joining us from? Lollipop, are you okay, darling? I am missing out in the chat, but it's okay. As long as you guys are having fun, it is fine, okay? But I hope, Lollipop, you are feeling well. Let's see. I'm just going to roll this up again, like I did before. It's okay, Lollipop. I think you found yourself some community. Lollipop is complaining she thinks she's oversharing. Lollipop, truth be told, I think when you find your own community, sometimes you just feel safe and comfortable. So as long as you're all right sharing, it's fine. Nobody's judging, are we? I'm just trying to get okay. Now we've got that done. I wonder if this is going to cover it seamlessly for me. Okay. Right, this time I'm going to actually listen to my own advice. I'm not going to use water. I'm going to find the Trex. Where's the Trex? I'm not... Look, my work table has been busy all morning. So, can't see where I put the Trex. Lordy. Whew, okay, we're not doing Trex then. We'll go for batter. Why am I using butter this time? So that if I have to strip the fondant off, it will be easier. You can also use, the Trex is Crisco, which is shortening. So you can use shortening. I just don't want to use water just in case I have to strip this over. Yeah, I'm just brushing bits of it on it and it should be fine. There you go. There we are. If you're just joining us on replay, hopefully you can find some value in what we're doing today. Yeah. Just have to be careful. Just make sure the lid is completely feels like going to get my nails done when I'm having my nails painted. Except this is not my nails, it's a pot. Look, the pot, the teapot is having a massage, okay? It is not complaining, is it? Okay, now I'm going to get this off, move this right away, and I'm going to try and this time the fondant is too short, but good thing I used fat, because then I can take it and stretch it out a bit more. Okay, we're going to do this again. Who thought a teacup cake would be this cumbersome to make? Okay, now let's slowly get this fondant. Okay. Okay, we are getting there. Cocktail. I am not like engaged in the chat at all right now, so bear with me, okay? That's my moderator talking to me, just in case you're watching on replay and wondering. I'm not in the chat. I don't know what's going on in there, so bear with me. Let me just finish this task and I'll pay attention to you in the chat, darling, okay? Yeah, what I am doing here is naturally to be able to create a seamless mark underneath the thingy and be able to cut it nicely. Okay, I've done that. Right, I have to do this a little slowly. Okay, we've got it. Okay, okay, all right. How do I feel? Okay. Yeah, the fact that I don't have to do anything with the lip is fine for me, at least for now. I could also move this in. Okay, now I think I'm sort of, would I have liked the lip a little better? Perhaps. But do I think I've got what I wanted? Yes. So it needs a bit more polishing, but you know what? Polishing is extremely boring. So I'm not going to do all of that here. But it's important to make sure the cake is sort of in shape. So I mean, by the time a handle goes on this and we add decorations, it will be different, but I'm kind of obsessed about trying to get it to look like a cup. I'm just polishing this off using some fondant. I think I'm kind of pleased with it now, because on screen, what do you think? Do we have a cup here? For those of you who can see or are with what I'm doing here, do you think we've got a cup? We need to put a handle and add decorations, and we'll make ourselves a nice cup of tea. or some hot chocolate. Tabitha, do you think we've got a teacup? Looks like a small pot, but anyway, I do like my tea in a pot. So that. So polishing, important, because we don't want this to deform or look bulky. We want it to look like a cup when we set it up on our little saucer and all. Oh, Dolly, it must be the Ghanaian thing. This is okay. So I'm making myself my own teacup. The teacup that broke. Okay, I like my tea in a big cup. I don't like the small cup. So what I'm doing here is actually representative of my own choices and preference for tea and how I like it. So. Okay. Right. I am just trying to push the rim. Okay, now let's polish. I'm looking for an extra, okay, I can't find it, but I'll just get this and I flip it over on that. Okay, right. Okay. Right. I'll show you how we can cover the top. In the meantime, I've lost my tools. Where are my tools? Okay. Okay. So perhaps another way of solving my problem with the cake is to just dig some of the cake out, just so that it will create that lip better for me. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to mark out where I want. You want to do this a little more carefully, because what you don't want is to make a mess, because I'm trying to get a cleaner lip to my cup. Okay. amount of focus and attention I have to dedicate to doing this. Bear with me if I'm not in the chat or you haven't got my attention at all. Okay, now let's dig. Let's dig some of this out. And it doesn't matter how big the hole we get in there, because ultimately we're going to fill this up a little bit anyway. But what I'm trying to do is get the cake out of the way so we have our cup lip firmer. Okay. This looks more like a Costa cup, isn't it? The big white cups you get from Costa. But those are a little shorter, I imagine. So okay. Now we're digging out some cake. Okay, there you have it. I've dug a bit out. I should be able to seal the rest out with fondant. Okay. Okay. So what are we going to have in our cup? You tell me. Are we having tea or we're having hot chocolate? I think hot chocolate will make sense, just so that we can have cocoa powder on the top. We can paint the brown bits like cocoa powder as part of the cake, because now we have these bits here that are going to be looking like a stain on the cake, right? So yeah. Okay, I think I'm not with it, but I'm happy with what I have at the moment. So see how challenging cake decorating can be, right? So here is a little encouragement to you if you're just starting and you're having struggles. Look, it's never too late and you can make it work. Okay. All right, at least the pot side of our cup is sort of done. We'll come back perhaps tomorrow to fill this out, have a handle, make a saucer, because quite frankly, whilst I want to do all of that now, I have run out of fondant. That's a real challenge in cake decorating. That's because I've run out of fondant. I can't do anything else, even if I try to. So for that reason, I think, right, what do you think so far of our cup? Tapita, I have a confession. I really didn't think this was going to be as challenging as it has been. But there you have it. I'm going to let this set completely so I don't do anything to it, because the more I handle it, the more I'm more likely to ruin it. And in fact, after the struggle to get it here, I do not want to ruin my cup. But I can see I've ended up splattering water on it. So I think I'm going to leave this to set completely. And then we'll be back tomorrow to create a handle, fill the inside, and have some marshmallows, hot chocolate, and all the stuff that a hot drink has. I must confess, I thought this was going to be completely easy, but then the easy cakes are the ones that end up surprising you the most. So am I really challenged to learn something new? Of course. But here's a lesson that cake decorating control Oh, I thought I missed you for a minute. I thought the live had gone out. Cake decorating can throw curveballs at you, especially on a day when you're not super energized. So thank you for being here. Now let me just leave that to the side whilst I try and catch up with you guys in the chat a little bit. Okay. Whew. Today has been a little bit unsettling for me, but let's get in the chat. Okay. May I have your attention for a minute, people in the chat? What am I missing? Bring me up to speed, because having to scroll all the way up and back is just not going to work. So if there is a question you're asking in the chat that I missed, please bring that back. And yeah, was somebody asking if we can have music on the live? I think so, but I don't know. I don't know if we can access the YouTube music library on here. I really don't know. This is all new to me, so yeah. Yes, I'm going to cover the inside. I'm a little bit undecided about the inside of the cake, whether I would just make it a part of, say, whatever we're going to fill the cake with. So for instance, if we're filling it with hot chocolate, which is what I am going for, because hot chocolate means that I can go for a brown sprinkle, and then we can put marshmallows and it will look like a full cup. No, you know what, once I left the stream yesterday, I caught up in the kitchen doing some stuff. Like, I haven't been online at all. I think if you check, I haven't even optimized the description box for yesterday's video. So no, I haven't done that. And I know there are emails to respond to, especially with the boy being sick. My priorities have shifted slightly, but I will get to Discord. I think the Discord is being manned by Cocktail. She needs my attention for a few things to be fixed over there. And Cocktail, I appreciate your patience over there with me. But if you know me, this is a struggle for me, right? Trying to diversify my attention to different places. So you're going to have to wait for me over there for a moment, okay? But I'll sure be with you. Right, how can I do that? How can I have a narrator for the Cocktail? You know quite some stuff that, you know what, you know, when the adults say I am not that savvy, I know I am not that savvy at all. So I don't know I don't know how to make that work. So you find out. But more, can you have a narrator when you're streaming over a software? Because I'm streaming through Prism Live, because that gives me a bit more control, and I'm also able to keep a copy of the stream when it's done. Whereas on YouTube, if I stream directly on the YouTube without the software, I don't have a copy of the stream at all. And I don't have control over the stream too. So how does that work? Okay, you know what, Cocktail, I mean, I have to catch up with you over all these admin things that we need to do, because I am just like, okay. On top of everything else I am doing, I still have a cake to make, you know, which is a customer cake. Oh, okay. What is, you know what? Lots of things are coming at me right now, Cocktail. I will have a well, on top of everything else I am doing, I am sure some of you would know this guy. What is this guy's name? Apparently, this guy is a feature of a game. Oh Christ, this is funny. Oh God, Squirtle fell over. Look, I am so poorly, people. Stop making me laugh. Oh God. Lord, this is funny. Yeah. Okay. I mean, the fact that you can tell it's Squirtle. Oh, did you think it was a little man's toy in the kitchen? Oh, that must mean I did a good job then, isn't it? Apparently, he's called Squirtle. He's a cake topper. He's made from fondant, so he's not cake, but he's edible. Squirtle, he's called. And Squirtle fell over. And he fell over and he came out fine. Little Squirtle. Okay. So let's not squish Squirtle. Look. This is a cake topper for a customer's cake, okay? Now, these things, they do take a lot of time to make, and I don't like making them, but sometimes when it's necessary to create one. So that's Squirtle. Squirtle is missing a tail. So when we are done with the cake, when it's done, he's going on top of a 6-inch cake. It's Pokemon themed cake. It requires a lot of work. Why will I come for you, people? If only you are behaving yourself, then I won't come for you. Okay, Dolly. Okay, 1 second. My little guy wants my attention. So, do you need me? Do you want some water? Okay, can I come and give you a hug? Okay, let me go talk to the little guy. I'll be back. Okay, here. Give us a hug. Come on, stand up. Give me a hug. Oh, okay. If you want to lie down, I'll cover you before I go back. Okay. First of all, I tell you what you can do, which is fun. Kick your feet forward and stick your feet here. No, put them here. Put it in here. Yeah? Yes. And then, there you go. Okay, so by so doing, your feet are not exposed and then you're cozy. Yeah? Have fun. Love you. Yes, baby. Sorry? Not yet, but it will soon, in an hour. People, thank you for your patience with me. I told you my little guy isn't very well. So, yeah, Dolly is asking for tips for fondant models. Tips for fondant models. What are you using? Are you using modeling paste or fondant? The thing with modeling figures is that you have to have the art and understanding, because it's all a mental process, isn't it? To look at something and to want to represent it in a model form takes a lot of artist skills. So I am not so sure about if it's not something you can do, then yeah, it can be hard. But if it's something you are sure you can do, then that is half the battle won. So here are a few tips, not so much about the models, because the models you have to work out how to do them. But maybe a tip or two that might help you is to stay organized. Honestly, I don't like modeling. I don't, because I feel like it's a lot of small different things that adds up, and it takes a lot of time and work. In fact, making models actually does end up taking a lot of my workspace, and it gets really messy, which is annoying. And sometimes when you have to transition from one color to the other, it can be awfully difficult to get great results. So whilst occasionally I will take a cake that may require having to do some modeling work, I really don't like modeling. That aside, stay organized. So make sure you can mentally prepare from your transition. So for instance, if you're making a squirtle, you know you're going to need blue fondant, you're going to need yellow fondant, you're going to need brown fondant. Make sure you can mix all of those colors beforehand. Don't do them at your work table. Because by the time you mix the fondant and then you mix another color, your workspace is messy and the colors end up bleeding into each other. So make sure, if you know that you're doing the sitting down to do the models, do the hard work before, and that adds up to being organized. So get your colors all organized, get every little thing that you want to work with in a distance, accessible distance from you, and just make sure you have your workspace organized. That's probably the first tip. The next thing is to make sure that you clear up after one task and then reset for the next, so that especially when you want to keep the colors and realism, it takes time, it takes effort. So say if you're creating a lion, the lion would come in tones of yellow and brown, just so that you can have a clean look to your lion. Just make sure that you really do take the time. So this is how I work when I'm modeling. So when I finish, it can be an overwhelming process for me. I like it when I can zone in and see the figure coming together. But I hate it when I'm about to start and I have to look for this thing and that thing. It's a lot of work. So for me, what I do is that I plan my transitions. So for instance, if I model the shell, by which time my workspace is messy, I clear up, I take a walk, I have a cup of tea. I'm not talking a walk like countryside walk. Sometimes I just open my window, get myself fresh air, because working at such breaks will also allow you to be able to stay focused so you can keep your workspace clean. Because sometimes the reason why models end up looking very garish is the disorganized workspace that bleeds into the quality of work. Another tip, maybe have a photograph of the item, but make sure you also watch different styles of tutorials that will derive, and choose your best one that is achievable for you. Those are the tips I will give you. But otherwise, if you want to model, that's something you are confident you can do already, and there's really nothing I can add to it besides the tips I have already given you. But if you're in the group and you feel like you have some tips for Dolly, please add those. Can sugar paste work, or normal fondant is good for it? Okay, the reason why I'm asking is because sugar paste and fondant are, well, sometimes we use sugar paste interchangeably with fondant, but sugar paste can't, yeah, we use it interchangeably, but what I'm asking is modeling paste. Modeling paste, so sugar paste, modeling paste, flour paste. They are all different things, but they end up being used interchangeably, especially sugar paste and fondant. Okay, so I would say modeling paste. Modeling paste is different from fondant because modeling paste is formulated to set hard. So even though it comes in the form of fondant, it is fondant that has additional setting agent added to it and formulated so that it can set hard for when you're making models. So if you're a beginner, probably modeling paste is ideal, because then if you have to use fondant, you have to add, depending on what fondant you are using, but advisably, if you're using fondant, you have to add CMC or Tylose to your fondant to get the best form. So this squirtle here has fondant, it's made from fondant, just regular Tesco fondant that has lots of CMC, which is Tylose powder, added to it. I had to make it yesterday and leave it to set hard. In fact, I baked it in the oven for at 50 degrees C, 50 degrees. It's fan oven, so it's not hot, but it's warm to kind of dehydrate the model so that it sets really hard for you. And that's why Squirtle fell over and I was still able to pick it up, right? So if you are using fondant, you're going to have to add the hardening agent in it, which can be tricky because the amount of hardening agent you should add to fondant is all relative. There is a relative quantity you should add to a quantity of fondant. Say if you have, let's say, 100 grams of fondant, how much Tylose can you add? It can be tricky because sometimes if you've seen me here, most of the time I'm eyeballing the amount of Tylose to add. But that is also because I come with a level of experience that informs what I am looking for. So I can eyeball things and still feel and observe them visually for cues and know what I'm doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you add too much Tylose, you're going to dry the fondant out, and then it's going to prove tricky for you to create your model. And if you add very little, the fondant won't set and it's getting a little bit melty and funny and the shapes are not forming. So using modeling paste is probably best if you're a beginner. But if you have an idea about how much fondant per Tylose powder you can mix to harden your fondant to get your model, then why not? So I would say neither one is not better than the other, but they are all formulated for different outcomes, Dolly, if that sort of makes sense. Well, okay, so you have modeling paste. But one thing you can also do, whilst I'm recommending modeling paste for a beginner, modeling paste, because it's formulated with a hardening agent, it can be very dry sometimes and hard to sort of work with. So have Trex. Trex is your friend Trex, I couldn't find my Trex. Trex is shortening. You can get it from Tesco. It looks like lard, but it is made from, is it hydro fat. So yeah, have Trex. When you add Trex into it, it can help with manipulating and working with your modeling paste without drying it out too much. Another thing, if you're using modeling paste, you can have half of modeling paste with a bit of fondant in it, so that because the fondant is softer, it can help you kind of work things out when you are forming the figures. I hope these are just some tiny tips. When I model, I try to represent the item I am, as you can see here, but it's a lot of work, and people really don't understand that this is really a skill that costs a lot. If you went on eBay to buy a Squirtle handmade, it is so expensive. This is probably about £60, including time. And you think, who is paying £60 for that? But that's the time it takes. You're not going to get me to sit down to create this. So adding this as an additional item to a cake can raise the price of the cake, which customers don't seem to appreciate very much. But it's neither here nor there. So because of that, I don't really do models a lot. It will really have to be a very special cake. And yesterday, remember, I was saying there's a customer who came to get a cake from me, and they said their partner hasn't had a cake since they were a teenager. So this customer is really like paying an arm and a leg for the cake. So I just thought, what can I add to bring value to the cake so that he can communicate the love and affection he feels for his partner? So sometimes making cakes is not just about the money and selling the cake. It's also about attempting to assist the customer communicate the emotion they are trying to represent in cake form. Because essentially, if it was just a birthday cake, he could buy it from anywhere else. But when he came to me, what was important to him was to make a cake that will tell the partner that I appreciate you, and I know you haven't had a cake for a long time, and since you like a cake, this is a cake that I have thought about, and it has you all written over it. And their partner loves the Squirtle because they like Pokemon. So yeah, that's why Squirtle is here. I am so glad we have Squirtle. It's like we have to go and form Squirtle's tail, but it is going to be added to a very polished floral themed cake with some sea life elements that I hope will bring the cake to life. So that's where we are. Tabitha, you're right. Yeah, customers don't, I don't blame them. I think talking about that, when we talk about recently the drama with oh, okay. I like to crochet. I do actually. I am like an old lady. I do, but it's not something I do actively. I started crocheting. I can't knit though. I can crochet, but I started doing there's something I was doing a tablecloth, and I have done it to this size, and it's sitting there in my lounge with the yarn and everything. But no, I when I get bored and I sit down, yeah, occasionally I do, but not always. But you know what? When customers don't want to fork for an item, I don't blame them. Can I be honest? Whilst I make great cakes, okay, even if I say so myself, in truth, I have almost felt like, why are you spending that money on a cake? It's unwanted luxury. So no, if customers don't appreciate it, I'm not mad at them at all. I really am not mad about that, and it's neither here nor there. So yeah, so yeah, people, I did say I was only going to be here for the hour. We have our pot, which we need to leave to set completely, and then we can get it all sorted. So we'll be back tomorrow to finish our teapot cake. And I have missed out a lot in the chat, you know, but I'll be catching up. And yeah, for those of you who have emails waiting for me, I will make time and respond to those. The first 2 days, I think today and tomorrow is going to be busy because I still have a poke bowl to finish and some additional decorative elements for this cake, and then get the cake. The cake is going out tomorrow. So I've got my hands full, and then most of the time I would come back and create the tutorials as part of the week's work, but I'm having to run both alongside, plus I have the poorly boy to take care of. So everyone, people, I'm sending you all my best wishes for today. Thank you for being here with me. I'll catch up on the chat. If you haven't already liked the video, do consider liking the video. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Much love to you.